Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Matt and it is Terrifying Tuesday. First and foremost, I do always wish that you guys are having a great morning, evening, dawn, day, or dusk. All that wonderful stuff because life's too short as is. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I'm almost at that 300 marker. Let's see if we can get it by the end of next month. That would be very awesome. Maybe we can get to it by the end of this month. Just depends on how many others jump aboard the Matt's Movie Mania train. So if you guys know anybody that is like-minded and might like my content, go ahead and let them know about me and share some of my content with them. Maybe they might like what they see. It's nothing special, but it is just a silly little opinion that I give each and every one of you guys Monday through Friday, just because I enjoy doing it. I do it just for the joy of it, and I hope that each and every one of you find a little of my joy in there, a little bit of my work. Anyways, let's move on to oh wait, I almost forgot. Do always look in the description box for more information as well, such as your basic synopsis, your starring cast, if there's a MPAA rating on it, which today's does not. If there's going to be the runtime of the cut I am watching. Some trivia on there, the director, then there's always going to be a link for a trailer or a scene in a movie. It's very, very, very rare when I don't find anything to put in that slot. Only a few movies I can think of. Let's see, was that last week or the week before that I did Victims? That one I found nothing on. I Spit on Your Corpse, I Piss on Your Grave, the Eric Stanzi film. I found one scene in there, but I was not going to share it because it was practically pornography. But The Devil was another one that I had a lot of trouble trying to find anything on, and I think I found a scene for that one. That one was a tough one to find anything on. But there's always that information in the description box. So do always look in there. I add a little bit of extra and the information in there for you guys that are more interested in the daily film. And like I said, there's always that link in there, and that'll help you get more of a taste for what you're in store for, and if you really want to watch it or not, one of those ordeals. Alright, got all that fun stuff out of the way. Let's move on to the movie of the day. Today's came out way back in 1984, so it is 36 years old now. It's crazy to think it is that old. Troma has been around for 40 years now. It is none other than the Toxic Avenger, the original, the bad boy, the one that started it all. Basically, it's their flagship. Troma, if it wasn't for the Toxic Avenger, they would have never got a real start into the nation's homes. You know, there's a lot of people that not just this nation, but worldwide, that enjoy this film, and damn right it deserves it. It is a classic. And now this cut I am watching is running at an hour and 27 minutes. I know this one has suffered cuts along the way, especially the head crushing scene. I know that one has suffered from cuts throughout its history, but this one, it's in its full glory. This is, by the way, the 35th anniversary release of it. I think this came out like 6 years ago, so I think it's the 30th anniversary, if memory serves me correct. But there are some cool special features on here that basically talk about it being 30 years old. So it's I think that's where I'm getting my information for when this copy was released, and it is out of print for the most. You can find copies over on Grindhouse. I know they are selling copies because that's where I got mine just last week. For less than $20 you can get the movie, but then you got that shipping on there, so it's like less than $25 if you get it with shipping and tax and all that lovely stuff included. Now, who's all in this? We got Andree Martin. I'm sorry for murdering your name. She is Miranda. Excuse me. She's one of the people that we get the special features on here, I believe. No, it's Jennifer Babtist who is on here, which she plays one of the bad guy characters. Then we got Mitchell Cohen in here, Pat Ryan Jr., Jennifer Babtist, as I said, Robert Picard, which Jennifer and Robert Picard were actually married at one point. They met on this movie, got married a year later, and then they also worked together on the Class of Nukem High, the very first one of those. Which, if you haven't seen Class of Nukem High, those are all of those are fun. My least favorite is probably the third one, but there's also the two new Return to Nukem High movies. I've only seen the first one out of that, and I thought it was okay. You know, it's nothing like the original two. The original two are just great. I can't get enough of those two. And then we got Cindy Manion, Gary Schneider, and Mark Torgl. Mark Torgl, by the way, has a special video on here, and he talks about working on the Toxic Avenger, and he shows off his original props from the Toxic Avenger. If they are the real ones, it could have been a joke. I know that the very end of it, they talk about the sheep, and they bring out a girl dressed up in not in a sheep garb, but she's done up in the usual Troma attire, and she's got a pink tutu on, a pink skirt on, and that was one of the things they made the sheep wear in the thing. I doubt that it's the original because it looked like it was pretty crisp and clean and new, and I just don't foresee that. But he talked about some interesting things on there, and talked about how breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime you went to eat, they gave you nothing but cheese sandwiches, and it was what kind of cheese was it? Jarlsberg cheese, which I've never had. I've never even heard of it. It must be a East Coast thing, because I've never seen it around here in good old Iowa. Maybe because we have good cheese here, and we're close enough to Wisconsin to where we can get some really good stuff. We can get it mainline from the homeland. And then this is directed by both Michael Herz and Lloyd Kaufman, which their whole directing approach is different between one another. They say Lloyd Kaufman is more of a talk. He can really connect with his actors and his crew, and he's able to reach them a lot more to be able to do this film that they're working on, and push through and teach them things you do and what you don't do along the way. It's very, very crash course filmmaking. It's like going to college. Or as they call it, the summer school of filmmaking, which I like that term a lot more. That seems like a fun term. And now, as far as special features go on here, you got some other interviews on here. One with Robert Picard, one with Jennifer Babtist, and then there's one with Cigar Face, one with Michael Herz, which is a rarity to see an interview with Michael Herz. And this is a standard issue pressed Blu-ray DVD. There is zero reversible artwork, but you get this nice little picture to look at on the inside. So you get something there at least. So it's not just a blank piece of paper on the inside, which I would rather, if you're going to do a Blu-ray, and because Blu-ray cases are see-through, please give us something to look at on the inside. Otherwise, it's pretty ugly and dull. Just saying. Now let's get on to the movie of the day. Let's see. What is it about? It's about a kid named Melvin Ferd, who they end up changing his name to Junko in parts 2, 3, and 4. But Melvin Ferd is a young like janitor type. They call him the mop boy, but he's a janitor type for a health spa in Tromaville, New Jersey, which is the toxic waste chemical, the home of the toxic waste chemical plants of America, something like that. It's the toxic waste capital. That's what I mean to say. But they live in Tromaville, New Jersey. He is one that is he's picked on because he's this scrawny, nerdy looking little dude, not one that you normally would I guess see being a real ladies' man. So you got these two couples. They're your part of your baddies for the movie. Their whole thing, they get off on running people over in their car, and they have a whole point system to what they do to make it more worthwhile, I guess. But like there's a scene where they run over a kid on a bicycle. He lives. They turn around and go back and like run him back over, and they squash his head. It's pretty gnarly looking. Very, very interesting. There's a whole little thing where they're talking, and Slug is played by Robert Picard. I just remember Slug because it's just one of those things that just sticks to you. But he says, "Oh, I gotta go home," and they're like, "Why? I gotta get up early. I gotta go to church." And they all are just like, "Oh, okay." And so that was just like one little thing in there that just always makes me chuckle. But little Melvin Ferd, he's picked on by these four people, to the point to where they pull a little prank on him, where not a little prank, boy, they pull a big prank on him where Julie is one of the Jennifer Babtist character. She tries to seduce little Melvin, and she does. She gets him to wear this pink tutu. Blah blah blah. Fast forward it just a little bit, and he thinks he's kissing on Julie in the dark, and it turns out to be a sheep. Hence why I talked about the sheep earlier with Mark Torgl, which he kept calling it Julie Sheep the whole time, which is funny because the girl's name was Julie. But he's picked on by a whole bunch of people. They all witness it. Which fun fact of the day: Marissa Tomei, she is one of the bystanders in the crowd that is laughing at our young Melvin. But he goes running away from them, jumps out a window, and lands in a vat of toxic waste, which was the drivers of it just stopped and pulled over because they wanted to do a whole bunch of cocaine, which is kind of funny because when Melvin hits the buckets, which the barrels are just freely floating around on this trailer, and they're wide open, so it's kind of funny how they do that. It's kind of I'm guessing a poke at how loose things are with transporting toxic waste chemicals, one of those ordeals. I don't know. But he lands in it. He becomes mutated and becomes the Toxic Avenger, New Jersey's first superhuman hero the first superhuman hero from New Jersey. That's his whole tag. But he decides he's going to take revenge on these people, which any normal person would, in my opinion. Not unless you're one of those that you can turn a cheek really easily. I don't know, because that was kind of a messed up thing. But he goes after them, and there's a whole thing with other gang members that are giving him a hard time, such as there's a guy named Cigar Face who gets his name because he smokes cigars and he puts them out on people's faces. There's a magical scene where they're trying to bribe this police officer into taking money from them to basically turn his back on everything they do. They beat the shit out of him. They put a cigar out on his face. Toxic Avenger comes in and beats the hell out of him. Cigar Face gets punched in the balls like 30 times. It's hilarious. It's not quite 30 times. He gets punched in the balls like 10 or 11 times, a dozen times, something like that. But it is one of those things like, oh my god, where because he's upside down in a barrel in a trash can on top of it. So he beats the hell out of those three people. He's going along, and he basically is a vigilante. He goes along and he kills bad people in Tromaville, and it ranges from all kinds of people, from like cigar faces thugs to the people running over the people, the group, the two couples that are running over people in the car. Our mayor there's a whole backstory with how he wants to dump more toxic waste into these preserves, but he wants to also make them. I think if memory serves me correct, they're gonna turn it into a lakeside property, which would be toxic in the long run. But it's fun. It's a silly little movie. It's one you can watch over and over and over again. Find new little things. Still have a blast while you're doing it. As far as any kind of like technical ratings go, this thing, it's very basic, run of the mill. It's your 3 out of 5 kind of movie when it comes to technical things. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. There's not anything crazy as far as cinematography. There's the editing works for what it is, because it keeps its momentum going nice and steady. While it is luring you further and further into the story, it does a very good job keeping your attention. And then as far as so I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. As far as entertainment goes, it is extremely entertaining. There's a magical scene where you get to see the Toxic Avenger meets his girlfriend Sarah, who happens to be a blind girl. Who is a very, very beautiful blind girl, I might add, I believe she was one of the producer's girlfriends or something like that at the time, but they say that didn't sway her getting the part. That's one of those things, I don't know, I don't believe. But there's a magical scene where they're in this taco joint called a Mexican Place, which actually was I don't know if it still is, but at that point was a real Mexican restaurant with that same name. It was actually called a Mexican Place. But they had samurai swords on the wall, which cracks me up. But this group of thugs come in and rob the joint, and there's a guy that gets his arm ripped off. Which, fun fact of the day, he actually was somebody who lost an arm, and he was a amputee that they used. So there's a fun little fact that they were one of the first people to use amputees for people losing limbs in a movie. So as far as entertainment side, I'm going to give this thing a 5 out of 5. This thing's entertaining as hell. This is a solid, entertaining movie. This is an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 kind of movie. This is one I watch multiple times a year. I watch it probably 3 times a year. That's how much I love this movie. I've seen it just umpteen times, like probably 40, 50 times. That's how much I've seen this. I love it, love it, love it. Alright guys, I gotta get out of here. I got stuff to do. My computer's dying. I only got like 8% left, so I gotta plug it in. But I'll see you guys tomorrow with a really weird one. One that it's silly, it's fun, it's schlocky, it's cheesy. But tune in tomorrow for a fun one. Love your faces at all, as always, and